And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Alien Spaceship stream. You could be watching from anywhere around the country or the world, and I really appreciate it. Coming to you from the Spaceship Studios from a galaxy far, far away. It is a Saturday party. We're going to be talking about the. There's some riots going on. There's different news going on in the media. Also, there's been riots in LA because of ICE. Also, we're going to talk about the Shapeshifters and the other type of cartoon stuff we talk about. And I'm going to switch over so everybody can see me. I'm going to get this thing right here to come up. Okay. Alright. Here we go. Alright. And hello, everybody. It's me, Alien Spaceship. And also, I am glad to have all of you here. It is, hope everybody's having a great Saturday. And what I always do in the beginning of the streams is I'll be starting the game. And then of course, I'm going to be talking about the different things I want to talk about while I play the game. But I'm going to, hello, Psycho Social, good to see you, buddy. And something that I've been doing lately with the people that are subscribed to me and I know from different streams, I give them the wrench. So here you go. As a thank you for being here, Psycho Social. I hope you've been doing well, Psycho Social. And as I said, now I'm going to be talking about the different stuff that's going on and the game at the same time. And hello, Frog, you're not first. Scared. Alright. So, now we're going to be going here. Yeah, thank you, Psychosocial. I'm glad you like it. So, there has been riots. This is a little bit political, but there's been some riots going on in the western part of the country because there's a clash with ICE, and there's been a lot of protesters all day long, and I think that it has been a lot of madness. Right now, they're clearing the problems up that has been going on, but basically, that is something that I've been keeping up with today. And regarding the case, there's this case I was keeping up with where the defendant was seeing people as, shapeshifters. So basically, with the shapeshifters, I've been talking about the history of shapeshifters because that's what this schizophrenic defendant was saying, that he was seeing people shapeshift. And I think the person certainly needed help, but although they did still do the crime that they did, they should have been not doing that. But so it was interesting to talk about the shapeshifters, which we've been talking about, and it has to do with the supernatural. I do think that the mental illness had something to do with it, but I do believe in the supernatural realm. So certainly the person was saying they're seeing reptilian type shapeshifters, and they had horns and stuff like that. So in Greek mythology and stuff like that, they had shapeshifters that they were seeing. Well, we don't know if we saw them or they saw them or not for sure, but they were claiming to have seen the shapeshifters. Hi, getting ready for a trip. We're gonna hang out as much as I can. Oh, hello, Anna. Well, welcome to the party. Yeah, so in Greek mythology and all over the different mythologies, they had shapeshifters, and like for instance, they have octopus that can change into different forms to ward off predators. They have different things in nature that can do that. So that is pretty cool that nature things can do that. Maybe people have certain abilities, others don't. I do believe that there's a like magical stuff that could be used for good or bad. So yeah, I don't know if the defendant was necessarily seeing that what they're saying, but there has been cases in history where alleged sightings from pagan religions have been seen. That's my kind of alien, yeah. The shapeshifters. Yeah, date night froggy, yeah. Scared. And then there's a debate about the case if the person should be put in prison or given medical attention, like mental health. They also need some spiritual help too, I think. Oh, hello, Moki. It's great to see you. Yeah, so we're having a spaceship party, hanging out, and talking about different things. Yeah, so I think something fun that people have talked about is kind of like what we're doing in the game is sailing. Now, something I've been in a fishing boat before, but I've not been in the boat to. I've not been in a fishing boat like with the kind of boat you see in the game. I've been in like regular fishing boats. Hello, Duke. Good to see you. It must be nice having a date night. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and also, yeah, so Duke, hello to you. Welcome to the chat. Yeah, so in LA that they're having some riots going on and they've been throwing different things like that. But anyway, I was talking about the boats. So with the sailing boats, I think it's pretty cool to try that one day on the water. It's pretty nice. But I've been in a fishing boat where I was, casting a line and then you go and catch some fish. That's always nice to do, but not the kind of boat like in the game. Oh, thank you, Psychosocial. Yours too. That's nice. Yes. Yeah, and shout out to all of you. I appreciate you all being here and hitting the like button. I appreciate it. The riots are about they're opposing ICE. There's ICE rounding up people, or they're just trigger that ICE is there, so the people are protesting over that. Yeah, deportations. Yes, it's been going on all day. It looks like a crazy movie. It certainly does. 57, nice. Nice. And another thing, and the Trump and Elon feud is still going on. It's still escalating. You also like CCR. Ah, okay. All right. Moki said Gen Xers hang out with Alien probably because we haven't matured. And yeah, because y'all are still mentally my age. Now, some others have said that I'm more I'm mature. People have told me I'm mature for my age, and maybe also they're still around my age. Also, so there's a. It's interesting to see the Gen X people here. I see no news. Have music for a TV while I'm packing. Gotta get the dog and 62. Ah, okay. Okay. Yeah. 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 It's like a 20-year-old stuck in the body of Gen X. You know, because like if I went to a time machine and went back to the 90s or the 2000s, you know, y'all would still be the same. Just we would be closer in age. Okay, Frog. I'm not familiar with that. Thank you. I will. Oh, okay. That's cool. That's good to know. Oh, hello, Bill. Hi, everybody. Hey, my alien brother. I come in peace. Legal aliens need to be deported. There's right way and a wrong way to enter our great country. So many came in and went through the proper channel. Ah, okay, yeah. And I think that if it could be done properly, that would be the best thing to do. You know, obviously, I don't know why people can't do it the way you're supposed to do it. Yeah. You know, and I do think that there is quite a bit of division going on in the country in general, and there needs to be more unity in this feud between the Orange Man and Elon. You know that's another thing that kind of makes our country look goofy. Yeah, that music's nice. I like music from all time periods. Yeah, I'm like a spectrum of music. You know, and I think that it's good for the people that did come here correctly. You know, it's good for them to have that. Hello, Jamie. It's good to see you. Topics might be a bit political. If you wanted to uh, go somewhere else, that I would understand. It's okay. I was just basically talking about there's riots going on in LA because of ICE. It was one of the things I mentioned. And it's quite wild to watch. It's quite wild to see. You love Stevie Ray Vaughan. I've said that wrong. Check him out, Alien Goat. Oh, okay, I'll check him out too. Yeah, and because there is like a car set on fire. There's a lot of people in costumes. It was and people getting maced. It's something very wild to see. Yeah, because if you wanted to leave, you can if you wanted to. I'd prefer you stay, but if you want to go, that's okay. Yeah, I just want to give you a warning. And yeah, so the riots, as I said, I feel like there's people living in these areas, and people have a right to protest if they want to. But these, people trying to live there and go through traffic, I think that's not right to the people that are trying to go through and live their lives and do what they have to do. Yeah. So that's one of the topics I was bringing up. That's something I saw today. There's one person like in a sombrero with a skull hat, a mask on. That looked pretty cool. And there's like a fire behind him. It looked like a movie, certainly. And so earlier there was some car on fire. Then what happened was there is all these different people. There was a National Guard coming in. That's also something that occurred. And So that's that. And then I'm talking about like random things at the same time. I'm talking about a bunch of random things. Jamie is not into the political stuff that is brought up sometimes. So I just want to give her a warning that maybe if she wanted to go, just give her a warning if she wanted to leave. Yeah. And I'm just like talking about what I saw. Like people could come up with the opinions that they want to about it. Yeah. So Moki's been in the pool all day. I'm ready to talk about stupid Yush. Okay. So this one person. So talking about the riot that was going on, they were trying to go and throw stuff at the what do you call the feds, and they kept cursing at him, and it's like they can make a difference if they want to make a difference. Oh, yeah, we need the beetle. We need that beetle. And yeah, so it was quite funny to see. They can make a difference, but the way they're doing it, I don't think would help, and I don't think that it's right to the civilians that are there. And they were blocking off stuff. You had and the people were spraying a not mustard gas. I'm tripping, tear gas, to try to deter the people from causing a problem. And it's lasting all day long. It's been lasting the whole day today. And Bill says Brain Dead Joe could have done so much if he'd only had a heartbeat. No. And my sister gonna make margaritas and be in a hotel pool for 5 days. Oh, okay, that sounds fun. Hey, you have a good time now. That's pretty cool. You can get a break from the Timu of oh the Timu trials and the Timu chat. Rest in peace, Rescue Randy. Yeah. Bill says, "Dang Moki, I wish I'd been at the pool. It's been humid here, but there was a little refill today." Yeah, that brings up something about. Oh, you're gonna watch some Karen Reed. Ah, okay. Oh, okay. That's quite entertaining. And there is some stupid stuff going on where you have the people when they're trying to protest, they go try to litter all over the street with the different stuff that they have, and it's like they're not helping the environment by doing that, and all the barricades and things they're putting there, and they're doing their chants. It's like doing that is not going to help the problem that they're trying to solve, in my view. And you got these people that they use milk to try to ease the tear gas because it'll make your eyes water, everything drool out of you. It sucks everything out of you. So that's they use milk for that. And then there's no one was being detained though. That's quite the interesting thing about it. And yeah, Lori is quite retarded. Yes. Scared. Trump will squash ICE. Scared. Hello, Cat TV. Good to see you. There's some riots going on. Well, I am wondering where Remy is also. I'm wondering where she is too. Yeah, so shout out to Cat TV, and I'm also just talking about random things as well, just some random stuff for Saturday. Now, what kind of, and we could talk about Crete, like the trip you had to Crete. We could talk about that too. It's really pretty much anything, and we're gonna be talking about the shapeshifters and stuff like that as the time goes on. Hilarious, Smokey. All right, so now we're gonna go and take out this crab with the dagger. And now we're gonna take out this thing right here. Okay, it's pretty cool. Yeah, so I think with Karen Reed, we're certainly in for a clown show when that comes back on. And since last night, there's been riots going on in LA. Since last night. Okay, thank you, Cat TV. Yeah. So right now I'm on this tropical island with a bunch of. It's like a graveyard. They must have used this island for graves because that's where all these undead dudes are. These different explorers and things from the few hundreds. I do not know Remy's exact age. No. But Remy isn't really here right now, so I don't really have anything to say about it. Yeah, and then like what's going to happen is the different stores and places that are in LA, they are, let's see, the different places in LA, they are probably going to move from different locations because people are rioting and stuff there. Turtle Boy as Trial Monday. Oh, yeah, I've heard about that character. I think I've seen the Turtle Boy a couple of times, but not that much. You got these. Now, have y'all done. Do y'all like camping? Do y'all think that's fun? Because camping is something that I've not like been like camping in the woods before, but I know about it and I know about how to do it. But other people I know have done it. Because I'll talk to people that go camping for a couple of days in like in the woods, and it seems quite fun. And but then like when you're in the woods though, your mind will start to play tricks on you. Like even like when I like walk around all night, basically in the wilderness where I am. It's not wilderness, but it's kind of like a. Oh, your daughter's camping with her friends right now. Oh, that's awesome. I hope they have a good time. So basically, with the very stupid voters, yeah. With California, it does have a lot of nice land and different terrain and stuff. And also the weather's perfect, but you know the politics of it has problems. Yeah, so for instance, I when I've been in the like I'll see something I think is a cat, but it's not really a cat. It's just a box or a tree stump. Like I've seen different people and different things, but it's just a tree stump. So the mind can be playing tricks on a person, but it's also very nice to see. Last night I was hanging out and chilling, and then I was looking up and I saw that the different stars through the tree I have, and I go through the other side of the tree and I saw it. Very beautiful sight. You know, I remember I was talking to one of my friends one time about the comet that was going to be seen. And I was looking all over for it and kind of mapping out the different locations where it might come out. And basically, what I did was I looked at the different stars and planets, and I was like different areas, and it was pretty cool to see the whole yard like that. So it was in one of those areas, and yeah, just I grew a bunch of different wild plants that make it look like a jungle. So that was very nice to witness the the kind of tropical environment. And Frog says, "Yes, I like camping. Been many times. I actually live in the woods in East Texas." Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Camping is sticks and fire and tents, not these big luxurious rigs today. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm glad you're listening, Kat. So what he's talking about is you get a tent. Now the tents now are more advanced than they used to be, but you'll get a tent and you will get a fire, and its campfire smell is very good. Yeah, that's how like one would do it, and that's like what my buddy SC does. SC Wolverines, cool dude, and shout out to him. And basically, like he'll go and show camping tutorials, and like he knows a lot about it. So, but basically, the mind does play tricks on you, and you got to be careful about different people and things that could do that. Yeah, the woods is scary, especially if you encounter people. Is even more scary. There's been some horror stories about people that were camping in the woods and some bad like they encounter some weird people that are trying to stalk them, and it just like one time somebody was in the woods. Oh, hello, Aaron. Great to see you. Oh, that's funny, Aaron. About Moki. Yeah, shout out to Aaron and Moki. Yeah, that was very funny about what happened with with chat, but this other story, it was like the person was in the woods and they're walking around in pitch black darkness in the woods, and somebody went psst, and they turned the light back on. It's like you in the woods and someone's like making a noise. It's not really a good feeling. And they go and look and they saw a figure in the distance. It's like, ugh. Right. Bill says, I went to HS and RG's Expert Texas. Nice. Abby and Moki are yardbirds. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh, medical condition. Hilarious. All right. Continuing. I'm continuing right now. All right. Tell me some more scary stories. You are really freaking me out with this coming in the woods. Yes. Rio Grande Valley. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Bill. All right. I will. I will. Yeah. So these other stories that happen. There's these people that are they're camping in a tent. Oh, it makes you think of the guys in the movie Deliverance. Okay. I've been deep into the woods and heard tree knocks for real and screaming. Oh wow, that's really bad. Yeah, because a lot of like people do stuff in the woods because that's where you can't be seen there. We had lamps at night. Yeah, scared. Yeah. I've not seen Deliverance. No. So there's people that will like to camp in their van, and one time somebody was camping in their own van. Oh, thank you, Delight. I really appreciate you doing the upvote, and I'm glad that you're lurking. Thank you for that. I appreciate you very much. So what happened was basically there's like these campers. It's not like an RV, but it's a type of like a regular van that people just kind of sleep in their van and camp in the middle of like on the side of a street or in the woods. Hello, Anunnaki. Thank you for the donation. All right, and yeah, scared. Yeah, thank you, Anunnaki. Greetings, people and planet Earth. A tip for our alien spaceship dedicated by your loyal fans, including me. Yes, last with me here, scared. Thank you, Anunnaki. Thank you, buddy. All right, going to let's do it here. That okay. All right, so basically, and I've not heard of people camping in those vans before. And also, when people camp in the vans, sometimes bad things happen. So there's this incident where somebody was like scratching or like knocking on it, knocking on the windows and things like that. That is where there was a problem. And people they're like sleeping and they hear somebody trying to like scratch the window, and it's like, what in the world is going on? So they kind of like said, hey, what do you want? And the person just doesn't say anything and just like stares at him or walks around the car, and then eventually they go away. And it's like, or they're trying to ask for something. Like one time somebody was parking in a parking lot, and the person was just standing in front of their car. He's like, hello, what do you want? And the person like walked away because they didn't want to get caught. Another time somebody was camping in their vehicle, and they heard a big bang, a big crash, and that is where, that's the scary one of all. They're sleeping and someone breaks the window and he's like, hey, get out of here, and the person runs off. Yeah. So those are some other things that occurred with the. Oh, hello, Gloria. Scared. And what happened was, there's a couple of other ones. So somebody was camping in England in the woods, and they were just hanging out, and they saw somebody kind of from a distance, and they were trying to go and like, what do you want? And the person doesn't really say anything. And when someone's lurking around the woods that you don't know, you kind of like want to wonder, what did they want? So he was sleeping and he heard some. It wasn't even, he didn't see the person. He was like heard rustling in the distance, like it was a person. Now, when you're in the wilderness, in my opinion, and it would take a good ear to tell. Maybe sometimes professionals might not be able to tell, but like when there's an animal, it's still an animal, could be bad, but when you hear certain animals, they sound a certain way, like when they're walking. But with humans, sounds different. It sounds more calculated. So then you will walk and kind of go along, and then you will see you hear that and you don't want anything to do with it. So what the person did was they had some food, and they either gave the person some food or they didn't really see them at all. And then they're sleeping and they hear the rustling again, so they have to go, and they'll pack all their stuff in their camping trip and go and get out. Because it's best not to be camping if you hear some person just wandering around. Another time someone was camping, which was quite eerie, is someone was hearing kids giggle or laugh, and it's like, person was like, I gotta get out of this place. What's 2 a.m, there's some kids laughing. It's not too good. Yeah. So those are some camping stories and I've observed this from the internet. All over the internet, I absorb different stories. I just like learning more things. And another thing that occurred is that a situation happened. This is going to New York City. Now, this is a alleged story. Don't know how. It's still a story to tell. It's a legend. So there is this one time somebody was going into a subway, and they heard some people, like, they're kind of like waiting for a subway. Then you like kind of hear something going down. Anunnaki says camping without any weapons or armament of protection is very, very bad idea. And Inaki, I agree with you. People that are doing camping need to have something on them to protect themselves. Yes. Now there's some funny stories about that I'll tell you in a moment. So, person was in the subway and they heard like psst from inside the subway, like in the where the tracks are. And there's some gross looking men that kind of were popping their heads out of it and saying, "Hey, come down here. We want to show you something cool." It reminds me of one time somebody was in the in a chat and they were trying to get wanting me to click on something. I'm like, I'm not looking at anything. You just they saw some crazy stuff. I'm like, you keep that craziness to yourself. I'm a scared alien. I'm quite scared. And also another thing that I was seeing was in the so back to the thing. So there's another person, a third person that popped up, and it wasn't saying anything. And then the guy was like, kind of like looking closer, but didn't want to go down in there and see what was going on. And they ran off, and he saw them run off, and the person was carrying a head. So it was like there wasn't a third person; it was just a head. So when someone's like in a ditch or something, they want to show you something. It's not interesting to go look at it because allegedly stuff in the tunnels, like kind of like in there could be like weirdos in there. Because like I've not been to New York City yet, but I will one day. And my friend Nash went up there, and the subways, as I said, there's all kinds of stories about subways that are kind of crazy, but he liked it when he went on it. But yeah, there's all kinds of spooky things that could go on inside the subways. There's people and stuff. So that's basically a setting for a horror movie in general. And we had a yellow lab when I was in my early 20s. His name was Taylor. You know what's sad? These stories are freaking me out, but apparently I can listen to true crime and not bat an eye. There is some psychology behind that. And basically, what happened was, in the psychology of it, the people, maybe since the criminals are caught, and it's like out in the open, they were good at catching them, and they caught them. But when they're not caught, it's like not as interesting. It's kind of more scary because the criminals are not caught yet. And Aki says, yeah, down here in Tennessee, our law enforcement encourages mainly families to arm themselves when camping. We do have bears, coyotes, and sometimes Greta Thunberg. Oh. Yeah. And Aaron says, I'd put it in my backpack and hair would stick out and freak everyone on the subway. Oh, scared. I always got a seat because I'd clear half the car with the thought I had a head in the bag. Oh, okay. New York's awesome. It was safe on subways in 2013. We took them a lot, like people in suits, moms with kids. No, yeah, subways are fine because my friend went on them and he had a good time on it. Recently, there was an incident when somebody was, having someone with some mental illness had some problem on a subway, and somebody deleted them, and everybody was freaked out. There's another scene on a subway when somebody was picking on a lady, and it's like, so as I said, I'm glad. And my friend went on a subway recently last year, and it was fine. So, for instance, my sister's in London, and it looks fine, but I understand there's some crime going on in London, unfortunately, but wherever she was, it was okay. So I do think that sometimes things could be exaggerated, but it doesn't mean that there isn't something bad going on. Like, LA's terrible. Like, I don't think there's anything good stories about LA, though. But then again, it might be isolated. It might be in one area, not the other area. It could be kind of like that. And now we're going to go out and this other little ship right here. You're back. Cat TV, did you see the thing I was talking about with the head in the subway, the subway story? This was quite scary. And now, your phone fell in a peach trifle. I don't know what a peach trifle is, but that was a better, that was one of the best comebacks I've heard. Oh, you can get a nut on a bus. I'm sure you can get a nut on a bus. I've not been on a bus in a very long time. Not a fan of Brooklyn. Okay, but I like New York too. I've not been there in person. Okay, Kat, so I'm going to have to... Everybody, I'm going to have to repeat the story, okay? So, everybody just... brace yourselves. So... There's a person... This story might... It's supposed to be true, but I'm not entirely certain. It's like a legend. But it's likely true. These were from accounts from people that were seeing these things. So, like... because I watch these YouTubers that will review these different stories that happened to, like, all over the world. Mr. Nightmare, for instance, that's something y'all could check out. He's a good YouTuber. That's where... Like, that's like from what I'm telling you all about what I saw from there. So, basically, there's this time where somebody was waiting for a subway, and they hear from, like, the tunnel part, like, where the tracks are, "Psst, hey, come over here." And it was these dirty-looking homeless men that were in the tunnel. But we're inside where the tracks are. And basically, they were telling the guy to go inside there to show him something crazy. Something crazy that they saw. And the dude was, like, apprehensive about that. Yeah, so a person was inside the tunnel and was trying to tell him to come into the tunnel, and the person said they're apprehensive about going in there. So basically what occurred next was he saw a third person. So the person is seeing these people inside where the tracks are in a subway. And this other person, these two guys are trying to tell the person to go inside where the tracks are, to show them something crazy. And then what occurs is a third person pops up that looks kind of spaced out. And person's like, that wasn't talking or anything. And he didn't feel comfortable about it. And then the subway was coming, so they went and ran away. The person looks in the tunnel, inside where the tracks are, and sees them carrying a head. So the third person was just a head. And that's something that I would rather not see. So they're allegedly in the tunnel, like in where the tracks are. There could be nefarious people trying to lurk under there, try to lure people inside the underpart. Reminds me of a time where I was recently in a chat room and somebody was trying to get me to click on a link. Oh, and I'm like, I'm not interested in anything crazy. They want to show me something crazy that they saw. I'm like, I'm good. I don't want to see anything crazy. I'm scared. And you block the person like that. Yeah. So that was one of the stories that I saw that occurred. And Moki says, remember the guy who attacked a person on a bus and ate his face? I remember something like that. I think the person was on bath salts. Yeah, probably cannibals. Anunnaki, yeah. Probably cannibals. And Aaron says Western Canada, unless you guys had one of those. Moki, I think there was one in Canadians. He was deemed insane, but got out of a hospital. Ah, okay. Okay. Hannibal, yeah. Okay. Now, there's another scary story about an urban legend about the smiling man. And also, what we're going to do is we're going to go in more detail about that. And this is the game, and this is me. So we're going to get more into that. So, oh, oh. Let's see. All right, so let's look up the urban legend of the Smiling Man. It's called a creepypasta. Oh, it went out. I am back. I know about the Smiling Man, but I don't have to read an article about it. But it was too much ads on the site, and it kind of caused it to get the stream to way down for a second. But yeah, so the Smiling Man is this urban legend. So this. Hmm. All right, so the Smiling Man was this legend. So this is the story about the Smiling Man. So the person was taking a nighttime walk somewhere by in a city somewhere, and he is walking on his own and enjoying the scenery and stuff like that. And then he sees a man with doing a waltz by himself. It's like from a distance, say from behind him, from a distance, kind of doing like a waltz by himself. And basically, what is seen is the person has a crazy look in their eye, and he's smiling really like exaggerated smile, like a crazy person. All right, so I'm gonna repeat myself because I cut out for a second. So the smiling person had a very exaggerated smile on his face, and he had very crazy eyes, and he was like dancing by himself in a waltz. And a person's walking at night, and he's looked from a distance and see that guy, and he starts like saying something, and he's just trying to get away from him as quick as possible. And then the smiling man stops at a certain point. And he keeps following this person, and it's like there's no one around. It's dark. It's dimly lit. And then the person does a sprint and runs at the person that's walking at night. And then the guy goes to a better lit area in the city part, like where there's more people and cars and stuff, and the person disappeared. So that was a story that was quite frightening. It would be quite scary to encounter someone like that, and you're just walking by yourself at night, and some crazy person with crazy eyes is doing a waltz by himself. He has a big smile and he has crazy eyes, and he just is muttering to himself, and he's following you in a waltzing type of motion. And that's why it is good, everybody, to have self defense and, if something doesn't go right. And that is an urban legend, as one of the urban legends. Let's see. An urban. And we're going to get into some more stuff that I wanted to get into. All right, there's a trial that we saw recently about the Slender Man, where the girl thought Slenderman was talking to her to go and delete some people. And P.S. saw an interview with 4 jurors from Maxwell trial. They all need therapy, they said. Oh, okay, Moki. Thank you for the verdict watch where Carlos and Aaron says, P.S. saw an interview with 4 jurors from Maxwell trial. They all need therapy, they said. Okay. Okay. And Aaron's, yeah, so basically, yeah, I don't blame them because that guy was very creepy. Very creepy. And the Carlos thought he was seeing a shapeshifter, so I'm also going to talk about the shapeshifters as well. But this is a Slenderman creepypasta, so this is an alleged creepypasta that happened. Slenderman is a fictional supernatural character that originated as a creepypasta internet meme created by Something Awful forum user Eric Kunsen, also known as a Victor Surge. In 2009, he depicted as a thin, unnatural, tall humanoid with featureless white head and a face wearing a black suit. Stories of the Slender Man commonly feature his stalking, abduction, or traumatizing people, particularly children. The Slender Man has become a pop culture icon, although he is not confined to a single narrative but appears in many desperate works of fiction, typically composed online. Fiction relating to the Slenderman encompasses many media, including literature, art, and video. Kunsen. Sounds like your uncle. Oh, scared. I just remembered I don't have Chewbacca last night. It was a miniature version, and he was playing with my cat after listening to my lies about Star Wars. Okay. Scared. And and also where he was portrayed Doug Jones and Eponius in 2018 film where he was portrayed at Javier Batel. Beginning in 2014, a moral panic occurred over the Slenderman after readers of his fiction were connected to several violent acts, particularly a near fatal stabbing of a 12-year-old girl in Waukesha, Wisconsin. The stabbing inspired the documentary Beware of the Slenderman, which was released in 2016. Description: because the Slenderman's fictional mythology has evolved without an official canon for reference, his appearance, motives, habits, and abilities are not fixed but change depending on the storyteller. He is most commonly described as a very tall, thin, with unnaturally long tentacles like arms or appendages resembling tentacles that appear from his back, which he can extend to intimidate or capture prey. In most stories, his face is white and featureless, but occasionally his face appears differently to anyone who sees it. He appears to be wearing a dark suit and tie. The Slenderman is often associated with the forest and or abandoned locations and has the ability to teleport. Proximity to Slenderman is often said to trigger a slender sickness, a rapid onset of paranoia, nightmares, and delusions accompanied by nosebleeds. Easily, early stories featured him targeting children or young adults. Some featured young adults driven insane or influenced to act on his behalf. Others included the idea that investigating the Sunderman will draw his attention. The web series Marble Hornets established the idea of proxies, who are humans who fall under the Sunderman's influence. Marble Hornets also introduced the idea of Slenderman could interfere with videos, audio, and recordings, as well as a Slenderman symbol. Most of YouTube are clickbaits on such subject matters, especially when they have technology today screams to keep darn video stable, but no. Yeah, they do have a lot of people like that, Anunnaki. Yeah, there's a lot of content like that, and I've seen that myself, definitely. Which became a common trope of slender fiction. Graphic violence and body horror are uncommon in the Slenderman mythos, which many narratives choosing a level leave the fate of his victims obscure. Shira Chess notes that it's important to note a few retellings identify exactly what kind of monster Slenderman might be, and with specific intentions are those points mysteriously and usefully vague. Anunnaki says then they have to shake the camera so fast, or our eye scrambles in our eye sockets trying to make up what the F is going on. Anunnaki, those people are trying to be edgy, and I agree. Because, it's not even a legit situation. There's been real footage I've seen of people seeing crazy stuff. And what I saw was they always had the camera still. It's like these people that are doing all that, they're trying to exaggerate what's happened. It's basically like a fan film. It's like a movie or something. Yeah, I get it. Definitely. And one of them clicks is trying for parole now. It's crazy what all kids will follow and believe in. Yeah, exactly. Origin. The Slenderman was created on June 10, 2009 on Thread in Something Awful, the internet forum. The thread was a Photoshop contest in which users were challenged to create paranormal images. Forum poster Eric Cudson, under the pseudonym Victor Surge, contributed two black and white images of groups of children, to which he added a tall, thin, spectacular figure wearing a black suit. Although previous entries have consisted solely of photographs, Surge and supplemented his submission with the snatches of text supposedly from witness describing the abductions of the groups of children and giving the character name the Slenderman. I like Polaroid photos when it comes to such things because no one can fake a Polaroid photo. Even 99% of homicide investigating terms uses it for true documentations. I've noticed that in trials, and when I was a kid, I used a Polaroid camera, and it was so cool to watch it develop right in front of your eyes. I like Polaroid, And yeah, you wouldn't be able to fake that one. That's true because with the type of photos we have now, they could be easily faked. The quote under the first paragraph read, "We don't want to go, we don't want to delete them, but its persistent silence and outstretched the arms, horrified and confronted as us at the same time." Ah, okay. The quote under the second photograph read, "One of the two recovered photographs from the Stringling City Library blaze, notable for being taken the day which 14 children vanished for what is referred to as the Sunderman deformities, cited as filmed effects by officials. Fire at library occurred week later. Actual photograph confiscated as evidence." These additions effectively transformed the photographs into a work of fiction. Subsequent posters explained upon the characters adding their own visual or textual contributions. Kunsen Kunsen was inspired to create the Slenderman primarily from Zach Parsons' The Insidious Beast, Stephen King's Mist, reports of Shadow People, Mothman, Mad Grazer of Malton, and other inspirations for the character were the tall men from the 1979 Phantasm, the H.P. Lovecraft, the survivalist work of William S. Brofts, and survival horror. Video games Silent Hill and Resident Evil, Kunsen's intention was to formulate something whose motivations can barely be comprehended and which cause unease and terror for general population. The other pre-existing fictional or legendary creatures which are similar to the Slenderman include the Gentleman, the black-suited, pale, bald demons from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, episode of Hush Men in Black, many accounts of which grant them uncanny appearance with an unnatural walk and oriental features, and question the DC Comics superhero with a black face whose security identity is Victor Sage, a name similar to Kunsen's allies Victor Surge. Anunnaki says anything that defies gravity can be accomplished with two factors: electromagnetism plus gyroscopic governor system. I can even make a cube flies and defies gravity. We have tech for that. Well, that's very cool, Anunnaki. So faking a video of aliens visiting Earth today is a drink of glass of water. Okay. Also, I've heard that the UFOs orbs use allegedly the quartz crystal for power. So, do you think, Anunnaki, a quartz can power a UFO or an orb? Do you have any information on that? Thank you. Bill says, "I like Resident Evil." Oh yeah, very good game. Very good game. Absolutely. In her book, Folklore Horror Stories and the Slender Man, Development of the Internet Mythology, Professor Shira Chess of University of Georgia connected the Slender Man to an ancient folklore about fairies. Fairies, the Slender Man is otherworldly with motives that are often difficult to grasp. Like fairies, his appearance is vague and often shifts to reflect what the viewer wants to fear to see. And like fairies, the Slender Man lives in the woods and wild places and kidnaps children. to check something here. Let's see. All right. Here I am. Continuing. Many aspects of the Sunderman mythos first appeared in the original Something Awful thread of the earliest editions and was from by a forum user named Thurio Up, who created a folklore story set in the 16th century Germany involving character Der Grumbun. Anunnaki says, when it comes to flying machines with pilots, they heavily to fly them. You need a super conduction mass distributors in its center. Okay, Anunnaki, thank you. Which was a writer implied an early reference to the Sunderman, the first video series involving the Sunderman from a post on Something Awful thread by user C. Egars. It tells the fictional film school friend named Alex Criley, who had stumbled upon something troubling while shooting his fist feature length projectile marble hornets. The video series is published in from footage style on YouTube. Forms an alternate reality game describing the filmer's fictional experiences with the Sunderman, the ARG, and the incorporates a Twitter feed and an alternate YouTube channel created by users Lothar as 2013. Marble Hornets had over 250,000 subscribers. Another World had received 55 million views. Other Sunderman themed YouTube video series followed, including the Everyman Hybrid and Tribe 12. Anunnaki says all syndrilic masses must have a mass distribution in their centers in order to be very stable and governed accordingly by physics. I'm going to bail. It's been a good long day. God bless you all, and I'll see you all soon. Okay, Bill, see you soon. Thank you for coming coming by and chilling. All right. In 2012, the Sunderman was adapted into a video game titled The Sunder. The 8 pages, the official website crashed after many people tried to download the game. Several popular variations of the game followed, including Sunderman's Shadow, the Sunderman for iOS, which became the second most popular app download. The sequel, Sunder, the 8 pages, Sunder, the Arrival, was released in 2013. Several independent films about the Sunderman have been released or are in development, including The Entity and the Sunderman, released free online after 10,000 Kickstarter campaign. In 2013, it was announced that Marble Hornets would become a feature film. Anunnaki says, to make these flying machines do things to defy gravity, you will need an energy source to make the superconductors charge what is called the electromagnetic pulse, sort of anti-gravity field. Anunnaki, fusion energy is great source for the fusion energy, not allowed for the public yet. Alright, so they've already developed this type of technology, this levitation type technology, but they haven't given it to us yet. Okay. I'm scared. The The Waukesha stabbing on 31 May 2014, two 12-year-old girls in Waukesha, Wisconsin, held down the stabbed a 12-year-old classmate 19 times. When questioned later by authorities, they reportedly claimed they wished to commit a murder as first step to becoming proxies, and the Sunderman having real. Oh, hello, Greg. Good to see you, buddy. The perpetrators left the scene. The victim crawled out of the woods to a roadway, passing cyclists, altered authorities, and films survived the attack. Both attackers were diagnosed with mental illness, but were charged as adults and faced up to 65 years in prison. One of the girls reportedly said the Slender Man watched her, could read minds, and could teleport. We're talking about some spooky stories and some urban legend stuff and many other things. We're talking about camping earlier. People that were interested in doing that. Just it's interesting what people said about the camping. Quite interesting. Experts testified in court that she also said she conversed with Lord Voldemort and one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on August 1, 2014. She was found incompetent to stand trial, and her prosecution was suspended until her condition improved. On 19 December 2014, the judge ruled that both girls were competent to stand trial. In August 2015, the presiding judge ruled that the girls would be tried as adults. They were tried separately on August 21, 2017. One of the girls, now 15, pleaded guilty to being part of the attempted second-degree homicide. The claim she was not responsible for her actions on grounds of insanity. Although prosecutors alleged she knew what she was doing was wrong, the judge determined that she was mentally ill during the attack. On 21 December, Waukesha County Circuit Judge Michael Bohoran selected Anesia Weir, then 16-year-old, to be hospitalized for 25 years from the date of the crime, which would keep the institutionalized until age 37. And Anaki says, absolutely. They even working on portable wrap devices now. They are trying to wrap flesh together, time, space continuum to no success. Yet other metallics, yes, okay. Now that's pretty cool. I was looking at the concept of teleportation, and someone can teleport to one place to another, and according to the quantum science, someone could be in two places at the same time, allegedly. So somebody could be here and in another place at the same time. I thought that idea was quite interesting. In a statement in media on 4 June 2014, Eric Hudson said, I am deeply saddened by the tragedy in Wisconsin, and my heart goes out to the families of those affected by this terrible act, he stated, and he would not be giving interviews on the matter. On 25 September 2017, it was reported that Morgan Gessier, then 15, pleaded guilty to attempting to commit first-degree homicide in the arrangement that would allow her to avoid jail time. On 1 February 2018, Associated Press reported Gessier had been selected to 40 years in Wisconsin mental hospital, the maximum sentence allowed. Now going to the Shapeshifters again. I'm going to talk about that for a moment. just kind of be clear about like what shapeshifting is. In mythology, folklore, speculative fiction, shapeshifting is the ability to physically transform oneself through unnatural means. The idea of shapeshifting is found in the oldest form of the totemism and shamanism, as well as the oldest explanation of epic poems such as Epic of Gilgamesh and the Iliad. The concept remains a common literary device in modern fantasy, children's literature, and popular culture. Examples of the shapeshifters are vampires and werewolves. Oh, okay, Anunnaki, thanks for clarifying. He says, what I was saying before, it is only true when it comes to molecular level atoms and nucleus. Okay. All right. And the shapeshifters in the Chinese mythology contains many tales of animal shapeshifters capable of taking on human form. The most common such shapeshifter is the Hulai, a fox spirit that usually appears as a beautiful young woman. Most are dangerous, but some features as the heroines of love stories. Madam White Snake is one such legend. A snake falls in love with a man. The story recounts of the trials that she and her husband had to face. In this one called the Yokai, which is a shapeshifter. Yokai are, Anunnaki says, they already did that with two electrons of two identical atoms in USA and Japan. In Texas and Tokyo, when altered, one in Texas, the other immediately affected. Oh, yeah, that's very fascinating. That's very fascinating. I'm back. I'm back, everybody. It went out for a second. Okay, so Anunnaki says they already did that. They already did that with the two electrons of the two identical atoms, U.S. and Japan. In Texas and Tokyo, when altered, one in Texas, the other immediately affected in Tokyo. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that certainly makes sense. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. Yokai are supernatural entities and spirits in Japan folklore. The kanji representation of the word yokai comprises of two characters that both mean suspicious and doubtful, and while the Japanese name simply the Japanese translation or pronunciation of the Chinese term yang guai, some Japanese commentators argue that the word yokai has taken many forms being Japanese culture, including referring to large number of uniquely Japanese creatures. Yokai are also referred to as the Ayakashi, Mono-oki, or Manao. However, most Japanese generally think of the two loose class classes of spirits as highly different. Although some academics, Shinto practitioners, acknowledge similarities within the seeming dichotomy between nature and them in most of the kami, which are generally regarded as relatively beneficial to the comparison and class of the two immediately the same type of spirits of nature or mythology realm. Their behavior can range from malevolent to mischief are benevolent humans. All right. Japanese folklorists and historians explain the yokai as a supernatural and unaccountable phenomena to their informants. In the Edo period in 1603 and 1868, many artists such as Turamaya and Sekin 1712 to 1788 intervened the new yokai by taking inspiration from the folk tales or purely from their own imagination. Today, several yokai, especially as the Emakini, are mistakenly thought to originate from traditional folklore. That's an example of something from it. A Pukwidge is a human-like creature from the Wampanoag folklore said to appear and disappear at will and shapeshift. This is something interesting from South America. The Amazon River dolphins are curious and lack a fear of foreign objects. Are apex predators, and male Amazon River dolphins are very physically aggressive during their mating period, particularly around the courtship practice of objects carrying Amazon River dolphins, known by the natives as the bato, and chados or ton-inas are very prevalent in their mythology and native to South Americans. They are frequently characterized in mythology with superior musical ability, seductiveness, and love of sex, resulting in illegitimate children and attracting to parties despite the fact that the Enacte are said to come from a utopia full of weather, which also without pain or deletion they crave the pleasure and hardships of human society. See something right here. I'm checking something. Okay, I got that. All right, got that fixed. All right, Amazon River dolphins, known by the natives as the bato and chatos. Okay, transformation in human form is said to be rare and usually occurs at night, and the enchanto will often be seen running from the fiesta, despite the protests from others to say, and can be seen the pursuers as the hurries the river reverts to dolphin form. When it's under human form, it wears a hat to hide the blowhole, which does not disappear with the shapeshift. Besides the ability to shapeshift into human form, and Cantados frequently wield their magical abilities, such as controlling storms, hypnotizing humans into doing their will, and transforming humans into shadows, and inflicting illness, insanity, and even deletion. Shamans often intervene in these situations. So the shapeshifter creature comes from across cultures all over the world. Besides the ability to shapeshift into human form, encantados frequently wield their magical abilities such as controlling storms, hypnotizing humans into doing their will, transforming humans into shadows, and inflicting illnesses and insanity and even deletion. Shamans. Oh, I read that. Okay. So, along with the shapeshifting kidnapping. Okay, Anunnaki, thank you for coming and hanging out with me, and have a good evening. All right, thank you, Anunnaki. Very, very sweet of you. Along with the shape-shifting kidnapping is also common theme in such folklore, and cantados are said to be found of abducting humans with whom they all fall in love. Children born of their illicit love affairs are just about anyone near the river who can keep them company, and taking them back to the Encante. The fear of this is so great among people who live near the Amazon River that both children and adults are terrified of going near the water between dusk and dawn, or entering the water alone. Some who supposedly have encountered the Encantados while in their canoes have been said to gone insane. But the creatures seem to have done little more than follow their boats and nudge them from time to time. The myth suggested to have arisen in particular because dolphins and genitalia bear the resemblance to those humans. Others believe in the myth and still serves as a way of hiding the incestuous relationship, which are quite common in some small isolated communities along the river. Legend states that if the person makes the eye contact with the Amazon River dolphin, they will have a lifelong nightmares. That's interesting. Trinidad and Tobago. The Tigaho, or the Lugaro, is a shapeshifter of the Trinidad and Tobago's folklore. This unique ability believed to be handed down in some old Creole families and is usually associated with witch doctors and practitioners of African magic. The name of Nahuel Hapai Lake in Argentina derives from the toponym of its major island of Dungan, island of Jaguar, or Puma, from Nahuel, or Puma, or Jaguar. There is, however, more to the word Nahuel. It can also be significantly a man who is by sorcery has transformed into a puma or jaguar. Slavic mythology. In Slavic mythology, one of the main gods, Veles, was shape-shifting god of animals and magic. And underwater, he was often represented as a bear wolf, a snake, or an owl. He also became a dragon while fighting the Perun and Slavic storm god. Folk tales. In the Finnish tale of the magic bird, three young sorceresses attempt to murder a man who keeps reviving. His revenge is turn them into the three black Mars and have them harnessed to heavy loads until he is satisfied. The Laidley worm of the splendid sun hue, a Northumbrian legend from the 13th century, Princess Margaret of Brambrough is transformed into a dragon by the stepmother, and her motive sprung like Snow White's stepmother from the comparison of her beauty. Check something over here again. Yeah, so these are just, from different folklore. There are all these different types of shapeshifters that were in appearance. And I think that is fascinating that through all these different cultures, you have this going on. Not just something someone that had mental illness saw, it was something that many people saw. Because I think it's cool, like how even in the Slavic mythology, they had these type of beings, these shape shifting beings. And that is certainly so fascinating. Okay. And a little bit more into this, and then we have other things in here too. It is. So we're talking about some shapeshifters from different mythologies. And we have some interesting stories here to talk about, and we have an interesting one I see right here. In Child Ballad, the Allison Grows, the title which turns a man into a Wyram for refusing to be her lover. This is motif is found in many legends and folk tales. The German tale of Frog's bridegroom recorded the folklorist and ethnographer Gustav Jungbauer, the third three sons of the farmer, and his name is Hansel, which is my name, or Hansel as they say, is forced to marry a frog, which eventually turns out to be a beautiful woman transformed by a spell. Interesting. In some variations of the fairy tales, both the frog prince are more commonly the frog princess and the beast, the beauty and the beast, are transformed as form of punishment for the transgression. Both are restored to their true forms after earning a human's love despite their appearance. Very interesting. All right. Also, we'll let y'all know about the riots that are going on. All right. Trump deploys 2,000 National Guard members after LA immigration protests. The Trump administration is deploying the California National Guard in response to the protests in Los Angeles over immigration enforcement operations that have resulted in some clashes between the demonstrators and authorities, the White House said in a statement. President Trump signed a memorandum deploying 2,000 national gun in California as demonstrations opposing immigration and custody enforcement operations continue in the state. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in a statement Saturday. In the wake of the violence in California, feckless Democrat leaders have, according to the article, commonly abdicated their responsibility to protect the citizens, Leavitt said. That is why President Trump has signed a presidential memorandum deploying 22,000 National Guardsmen to address the lawlessness that has been allowed to fester, the Leavitt said. Earlier in California, Governor Gavin Newsom said that the federal government was moving to take over the California National Guard, calling the move purposefully inflammatory and said only escalated tensions. Newsom said the local California authorities don't need the help. LA authorities are able to access law enforcement assistance and movements and notice. He said it on a post on X. In close coordination with the city and country, and there is currently no unmet needed. Early Saturday evening, Trump said in a social media post that California lawmakers can't do their jobs and the federal government will step in and solve problems, but he did not provide specific details. The protests Saturday were centered in the city of Paramount in Los Angeles County following reports of an immigration raid occurring in the location. However, Paramount Mayor Peggy Lemons later said during the news conference that agents were staging, not conducting a raid. Those protests followed the demonstrations Friday that came in the wake of immigration enforcement operations across the city. Federal agents raided in multiple workplaces and fashion district and other areas, according to the American Civil Liberties Union of Southern California, leading to hundreds of people, including children, being detained by ICE agents in Edward Roybal Federal Building in downtown LA, ACLU said. Large crowds then gathered near the federal building Friday afternoon and evening, leading to some clashes with authorities. Video of the protests on Saturday showed the Border Patrol agents posted with many protesters, according to Street yelling at them. Footage appears to show some smoke projectiles being deployed as well. In a statement on social media, United States Border Patrol Chief Michael Banks said that several arrests had been made Saturday for alleged assaults on federal agents. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino said authorities were seeking to identify the people who threw rocks at law enforcement vehicles. U.S. Attorney Bill S. Lee said the federal law enforcement operations would proceed as planned in Los Angeles County this week. Quote, I urge the public to refrain from interfering with these law enforcement actions. Anyone who obstructs federal agents will face arrest and prosecution, he said. The Sheriff's Department said it does not participate in any civil immigration enforcement activities or mass deportation sweeps. We remind the public to exercise their right to protest peacefully and will respect the safety of all community members. Our primary responsibility is to ensure the public safety and individual present, both demonstrators and residents and bystanders, by addressing potential safety concerns while supporting the safe and lawful expression of the First Amendment rights, the Sheriff's Department said. In response to the protests, has local and federal officials pointing fingers in statement Saturday, ICE acting director told Lyons faulted local officials, including LA Mayor Karen Bass, and police, their response to their situation Friday evening. What took place in Los Angeles yesterday was appalling, Lyons said as rioters attacked the federal ICE law enforcement officers. LA Street Mayor Bass took the side of chaos and lawlessness over enforcement. And the statement which Lyon said, our brave officials were vastly outnumbered as over 1,000 rioters surrounded and attacked the federal building. It took over 2 hours for Los Angeles Police Department to respond to, despite being called multiple times. The brave men and women of ICE were in Los Angeles arresting criminal illegal aliens, the person says, including the gang members, drug traffickers, and those with history, assault and cruelty, and different things like that. An LAPD issued a statement later on Saturday denying the ICE director's claims, saying its response is delayed in part because of the federal authorities and developed chemical irritants into the crowd of protesters. Contrary to the claim, the LAPD delayed its response over the hours. Personnel mobilized the acted swiftly in conditions of safely allowed, the statement said. Our response time was impacted significant traffic congestion and presence of demonstrators, and notable by the fact the federal agents had deployed irritants into the crowd prior to the LAPD's arrival. This created a hazardous environment for responding officers. Within 55 minutes of receiving the call, we began to disperse the hostile rioters in the crowd. Bass has condemned the ICE operations in her city. Greg said, I'm supposed to be watching Trigon, but instead I'm editing. Okay. Okay. Yeah, with a Trigon, they, it's something cool you could, watch it another time, but it's cool you're editing. I'll go check out your videos later. And also, after I'm finished this report I'm gonna go and talk some about Trigon after this report. As mayor of the proud city of immigrants who contribute to our city in so many ways, I'm deeply aggravated by what has taken place. These tactics sow terror into our communities and disrupt basic principles or safety in our city. My office is in the close coordinates to immigrant rights community organizations. We will not stand for this, Bass said. Bass told ABC Los Angeles, stationed in KABC, that neither she nor the Los Angeles Police Department were aware of the ICE raids were going to happen. All right, so that is the news report that's going on. Let's talk about some of the episodes that they had at Trigon, and then it'll be over. But I'm going to look at the what we have done. All right, so here we go. All right, Trigon episode 1. 60 billion man. After a humanoid typhoon incident leaves the town of Dankin in ruins, a gang of thugs led by the giant part cyber bad boss tracks down Vash and Stampede in hopes of collecting the 60 billion reward for his capture. At the same time, Merle Strife and Millie Thompson, employees of the Bernardelli Insurance Society, are sent to investigate the rumors surrounding Vash and keep him from doing any damage and might affect the company's finances. Bad boss and bounty hunter named Luce Ruth mistake each other for the Vash is a rock above the town of Farnell, and Vash, Merrill, and Millie are caught in the middle of the shootout and manage to escape, while Felnarl suffers heavily damaged but no casualties. At Lewison Town, 40 lies west of Felnarl, and Merrill flies his report. It won't be up until tomorrow, I hope. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you for letting me know, Greg. Truth of mistake. Arriving in a town whose water supply has dried up, Merle and Millie find Vash working for a Cliff Kesar, a wealthy water seller. Cliff has hired Vash to protect young woman named Marion, staying at his mansion and worried about someone who has been trespassing on his property. Vash, Merle, and Millie discover that the intruder is actually Marion and Marshall, who is investigating Cliff's business and his monopolization of the water supply. Vash sides with Marion and foils Cliff's attempts to delete them both, which inadvertently causes Cliff's processing equipment to overload destroying his mansion, releasing his stored water, and flooding the town. Marion places Cliff under the arrest, but no one actually believes the man hired Cliff is really Vash. Three is Peacemaker. In the city of Warrens, Vash encounters Frank Marlon, a drunkard who used to be a talented gunsmith. He once saved the town from a group of bandits by arming the residents, but fell into alcoholism. After one of his guns was used to delete his family in a bank robbery, lacking a sheriff, Warrens is defenseless against a gang who plans to rob armored into the armored car, until Vash inspires Frank, the residents, to stand up against them. The robbery is continues, and Vash fights the enemy. Love and Peace. In the city of Orleans, Merrill and Millie, and young heiress named Stephanie Bostock, are taken hostage in a saloon by a gang who have to settle with Stephanie's father and the town leader nicknamed Grim Reaper. They want revenge on Bostock for the slaughtering of their parents and seizing their land years earlier. Vash waltzes into the saloon and is also taken hostage. The situation worsens when Stan, the local sheriff, formerly one Bostock's raiders, hires a group of ruthless mercenaries to storm the saloon, and confrontation culmination of the showdown between Bostock and the gang leader, in which Bostock sustains a shoulder wound, and Stan tries to delete the leader in a ploy to boost his own reputation, but Vash and Merrill disarm him and deputies, and Merrill strips him of his position. Hello, Haley. Good to see you. Welcome. We are talking about some alleged scary stories that have happened to people. We were talking about camping, and we're talking about some riots that are going on in LA right now. And now we're talking about a anime series called Trigon, where I'm just kind of going over the overview of the episodes. I hope you're having a good evening. Welcome to the chat. Hard Puncher. In the city of In Pearl, Vash finds his entire population trying to capture him for the 60 billion reward so they can pay for much needed repairs to their manufacturing plant. The citizens cause extensive damage to their pursuit, and the town leader hires the escaped outlaws professor in Goffsef, Nebraska, to catch Vash and stop the destruction. Vash puts himself in a great peril to keep the violent pair from harming any civilians, and ultimately stops the Goffsef's huge mechanical fist by shooting it at Nebraska's are recaptured, and Merle finally admits to her dismay that the strange man she and Millie had been following may really be Vash the Stampede. I also was talking about some of the cryptids, which the Shapeshifters, it has to do with the Carlos trial, and I was talking more about the shapeshifting. There's a lot of characters in history from mythology that were shapeshifters, and I was talking about some Japanese ones, and there's a dolphin, and if you see the dolphin shapeshifter, it'll haunt you forever. It was kind of funny, but it's supposed to be scary though. So, some the shapeshifting is quite interesting, and it's interesting also that people will see this when they're having schizophrenic people will see stuff like that. So I thought that was interesting how people saw it in mythology, and also people with those illnesses have seen them as well. Right. Lost July. Vash allows the citizens of In Pearl to claim 700,000 reward for capturing the Nebraska's enough money to cover repairs to the city's plant. An engineering team arrives on a stand stemmer, and Vash becomes Smitlin with Elizabeth, their beautiful manager. She engages him to protect her, but then takes him into a room in the plant filled with overloading equipment and locks them in, where he is hacked by blade-wielding masked assassin with long braided hair. She intends to delete Vash, accusing him of destroying the third city of July. She blames him for the way the survivors descended into chaos and violence, leaving her an orphan. When she was 3 years old, Vash uses his power to bring the plant under control, telling her that he has no memories of the day. She breaks down crying as she remembers him comforting her as a child. Brilliant Dynamite Neon. Vash departs on the sand streamer with the gratitude of In April, while Merle and Millie take jobs on board to keep an eye on him and save money. He befriends a young stowaway named Katie, who is secretly helping the ruthless Bad Lad gang hijack the streamer. Dissatisfied with the hull of their leader, Brilliant Dynamite's Neon decides to crash the streamer into the bottom of the canyon, smash open the safe containing the passengers' valuables, and Kaiti refuses to help with his plans, claiming that the craft was with his father, and Vash saves him from being deleted on the short-tempered Neon. Between the west land and the sky. Katie reveals that his father designed the streamer, and while he helps Vash evade the bad lads, he also sees the length at which Vash will go in order to avoid harming anyone, even after he is wounded. The gang eventually captures Vash and Kaiti, but as Neon prepares to delete him, Merle and Millie happen to disguise themselves as gang members, holding him at gunpoint, and Vash challenges Neon to a duel and wins. So Neon agrees to stop the streamer, but the barking system no longer functions. To atone for his part in the hijacking, Katie rushes into the energy room and trips an emergency stop switch, and when the crew cannot do, even with his protective clothing, he is badly burned, but the streamer stops and just short of the canyon's edge thanks to his efforts and Neon's surprising use of his own getaway vehicle to force it to a halt. Watching the sunrise, KT starts singing a song that causes Vash to have a flashback of the long-haired woman from his past. Interesting. Murder Machine. While traveling to the May City by bus from the site of the streamer crash, Vash encounters a traveling priest named Nicholas D. Wolfwood, who is trying to raise money for an orphanage he supports. The bus is attacked by a squadron of armed robots, remnants of the lost technology, and two men leap into action to save the little girl being menaced by them. Hello, Shelly. I am doing great. Thank you. We're having a good stream and a good time with the chat. And we're talking about a show called Trigun, or it's talking about the protests. I call them riots, but protests going on in LA. I was talking about some about camping and just different like fun things and the what do you call it? Some scary stories that happened. People had strange encounters while camping. So those were just some things we discussed, and now we're talking about the different episodes. And Shelly, I hope that you are doing great too. Thank you for being here. Quick draw. In May City, Vash finds Wolfwood helping out the restaurant owned by a woman whose husband has gone missing and left her and her son deep in debt. Oh yeah, yeah. In in May, the city Vash finds Wolfwood helping out the restaurant owned by a woman whose husband has gone missing after her and left the son deep in debt. Wolfwood persuades Vash to sign up for the quick draw. Shout to Mary Toodles. Thank you. Shelly says, thank you, I'm good. Mama Bird had two of her babies, so cute. Oh, that's adorable, Shelly. That's adorable. Tournament of the $50,000 grand prize as a way to help her out, and then Vash shocks Wolfwood by signing him up as well. The two devise a scheme to fake their deletions in the final round, wounding but not deleting all the gunmen. The organizers hired to captive Vash for their bounty on his head. Wolfwood coerces the double dealing tournament organizing into giving him the prize money. The restaurant owner happily to have her debt paid off and surprised when her husband returns home. So basically what happened was earlier there were protests going on about ICE in LA, and it's like an area that looks like a neighborhood, and people were throwing stuff, and then they're throwing tear gas back at them. Yes, Shelley, yes. There you go. That's true. And there's people like wearing masks and wearing like a sombreros and look like a movie scene. And there's one point where somebody set a vehicle on fire, and that was quite crazy. And it's kind of it goes. Sometimes they throw something back at the police, and then they'll throw something back at them. Then the National Guards are coming in and clearing stuff out. And yeah, it was going on since last night. Yeah, it's been really wild. Escape from the pain. While traveling across the desert with a vehicle caravan, Millie and Wolfwood encounter Julius and Moore, a pair of lovers at the run. Julius is the son of the caravan company's owner. As learned, and the company engages in human trafficking with the father and the mayor of Fondrique. To the horror of Merle and Millie, Vash accepts the 20 million contract to delete Julius, keep the company in business. Wolfwood reasons that Julius should return to the caravan because people's livelihoods are in danger, a high priority than young man's own well being. Vash appears and shoots both Julius and Moore from the distance, convincing everyone that they are deleted. However, he actually uses rubber bullets so the couple could escape together. The owner later sends his apologies to Julius, also saying that he and Moore are free. Wolfwood parts ways with Vash, Merle, and Millie, reflecting that Vash devised a solution that he himself could not see. Yeah, so and I think like people with the protests were screaming and cursing and stuff, and they're not going to get what they want done by doing that. It's just going to lead to a bunch of nonsense. That people have a right to protest, but people that are doing it in that kind of way, it just I think it's more destructive. So it's like 2020, all over again. The madness has begun. I mean, it was around this time or last month that the 2020 riots happened, so it's quite fascinating to see that play out in this situation. And I'm gonna read one more thing, then that'll be it for the night. All right. Die blow. A peaceful day in the town for Vash, Merle, and Millie is ruined by the powerful telepath Legato Blue Summers. Commander of the Gung Ho Guns arrives and warns Vash that he will be deleted that day. Vash is subsequently arrested for the murder of the shoemaker and jailed to await trial. As Vash ponders the Lagato's message the night in jail, Menev and Gale storm into and delete him. Monev has spent 20 years training in isolation to become the perfect deleter. However, Vash escapes and eventually defeats Monev, and after protracted battle that leaves many townspeople deleted by Menev's hand, Vash holds Menev at gunpoint, ready to delete him, but then suffers a crisis of conscience. All right, so Vash I think is very cool. I'm going to show Vash on the screen. Y'all know who Vash is, but I'm just going to show it again. All right. Yeah, so that is Vash, the one that we like to talk about specifically. That's him. And that's the iconic red jacket. That's him right there. And then we have just Trigun in general. Let's see, a scene. Let's show you like a picture of a scene from it. All right, so very cool, style, very cool artwork, and it kind of like takes place in the Old West. And that's them laughing in the bus. And these two have different types of opinions on things. It's kind of like a modern version of it. You got that. Yeah, so that is the cool show we were talking about. And, alright. Alright, so that is all that we're going to be talking about tonight. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate every single one of you very much. And have a great rest of your weekend, and peace.